Every day in the Uncommon Woman Sisterhood, you will have access to the guide for notes. Now, if you don't have the guide and you're not in the sisterhood, then what I recommend is get into the sisterhood. So it's $19 this month. So what you do is you go to romymarlo.com, you join the sisterhood. In the coupon code, you enter June 10. It gives you $10 off. It's normally $29 a month, which is like, what, 80 cents a day or something like that? I don't even know. But it's really, really powerful. And you will have access to this guide and then the bigger guide for Find Your Voice next week. But if you're not in the sisterhood, then you don't have access to the guides. It's one of the things that I do for the women. So this is the Awaken guide. Okay, there's 4 parts to this that I share in the Uncommon Woman Sisterhood. Okay, today is part 1. Here's Awaken. Isn't it gorgeous? And there's 2 pages of workbook, and then this is the big one. Next week for Find Your Voice, this is the new cover. Do we love the new cover? I love it. This is the new Find Your Voice logo. It's all been rebranded. And this guide will be available for women in the Uncommon Woman Sisterhood for free. So if you want it, and it's okay, so listen to this. It's $10 if you're not in the sisterhood. You can go to the link tree and purchase it, and it will get sent to you within the next 24 hours. Okay, give me 24 hours to get it to you because we don't start till next week. All right? But if you're in the sisterhood, it's free. Now, if you go to Uncommon Woman, if you go to romymarlo.com and you sign up for the sisterhood, it's $19 for the month if you put the coupon code in. You get both of these free guides, and you get the extra support that I'm going to be giving the women during the masterclass in the group. So there's tons of value there this month. So this is if you wanted to try out the sisterhood, this is a good month to do it because this is where we're moving. This is what we're doing. So romymarlo.com, June 10 is the coupon code, and then you'll get all of these resources for free. But if you don't join, you can get the larger guide for next week at the link tree. The smaller one is only in the sisterhood at the moment. All right. Okay, does that make sense? Is everybody clear? My moderators are doing a really great job of explaining it in the comments. All right. So I'm just going to open up my notes here. One of the things that we're recognizing at this time in history is that we need your voice. What does that mean? When somebody says the world needs your voice, what does that mean? It means that the world needs your advocacy, the world needs your wisdom, the world needs your experience, the world needs your stories, the world needs your hope, the world needs your testimony. So when I talk about the world needing your voice at this time in history, that's what I mean. Why is it important? Because as you can imagine, we're at a pivot point in history. There's a lot going on out there, right? There's a lot of divide. There's a lot of violence. More people than ever are suffering. Isn't it crazy that although more people are able to connect, that we're also more isolated in many regards than we've ever been? Suicide rates are off the hook. Addiction rates are beyond. It's really fascinating to see that even though we're so easily connected via social media, through things like WhatsApp and FaceTime and texting, you know, you can jump on a video call with somebody over on the other side of the world in nanoseconds. Yet even with all of that access to communication and to one another, women and men are still suffering. And this is what I want to talk about, is the awakening. Bringing people out of suffering, whether it's yourself or somebody that you know, or somebody that needs to hear from you, so that one by one, more and more people feel supported and loved and empowered and purposeful. So many women in my world say to me, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what my calling is. I'm afraid to use my voice, or I'm afraid to share my stories, because when I share my stories, I worry about exposing people that I love. When I share my stories, I worry about being judged. When I share my stories, I worry about being abandoned. When I share my stories, you name it. So next week, we're actually going to be talking about how to share your story and find your voice in a way that doesn't harm you and harm those around you. However, what's really important for you to recognize is that in order for you to do that, there's a foundation for you that you need to stand on in order to have the courage and the confidence to get there. It's difficult, it's challenging to use our voices and say what we want to say and do what we want to do and be who we want to be. That's why more people than not don't. Over the years, I've worked with countless women, and most women who come into my world, or had in the past, but I would say that this is still true today. I know my hair's a little funky, sorry. It's doing all the things. This side is doing the whole thing. That so many women will say to me, I've never shared my story. I've never actually talked about what happened to me. I've never really gone into depth and opened up about what happened in my marriage, or what happened when I was a child, or what happened in this experience that I had, something traumatic. So what we do is we push it down, right? And we move it into a little container in our soul, and we tighten the lid. But here's what happens over time. It starts to show itself. We can only hold those things and carry those things without healing and without pulling them forward and giving them the love and acknowledgement that they need for so long. And then it starts to erode, and it will erode in the way of addiction, depression, anxiety, broken relationships, lack of trust, fear of abandonment, isolation, anger. Anyone? Put a 1 in the comments if there's anything in your past, or if in your past you kept things quiet and you held things down. Put a 1 in the comments if you've ever done that. And the reason that it's important for you to acknowledge that is because if you don't heal those things, and if you don't start to access them and give them the love and tenderness that they need, it will put a crack in your foundation. So your voice is needed more than ever for advocacy, for testimony, and to help and heal others. And also, it's just needed for your expression and your joy. It's really difficult for us to be joyful and express who we really are and what it is that we really want if we're standing on a cracked foundation, if we don't have an identity, if we don't know who we are because of these things that happened to us in our past. Now, this might seem like a moot point, but it is rare for me to sit with somebody and have them say, I've done the work. I've gone really deep and I've done the work. I'm not angry at my partner anymore. I'm not angry at my ex anymore. I'm not angry at my parents anymore. I have forgiven. I know who I am. I feel like I've stepped into my calling. That's rare. And so this week, we're going to focus on awakening our identity. Hi, Yvonne. Thank you for the one. Thank you for the 1D. Thank you for the one, Joy. Thank you for your honesty. The only way that this masterclass, the next 9 days, so awaken and find your voice, the only way that these will have an impact on your life is if you show up, you do the work, and you are honest. You know, you don't have to be honest with me, but you better be honest with yourself. Because if you're not honest with yourself, if you walk around saying, I'm all healed up, I forgive, I'm not angry, but you're like, oh, but then there's only one person that I'm still angry at. If that's the way you operate, this will not work for you. Because to awaken is to move higher. To awaken is to elevate. I have programs in my Uncommon Woman library of programs. One's called Transcendence. One's called Ascension. I have Awaken. I have Find Your Voice. I have your 3-minute story masterclass. I have Seats to Stage. I have multiple masterclasses. Why? Because still people need to do the work. So what you're seeing are 2 back-to-back masterclasses that I hope and pray that you will take advantage of. You will leave a different person if you do this work. And I'm giving it to you. I'm just handing it over to you. Here's what I know to be true. From 11 years of working with women, thousands of women in the Uncommon Woman platform, these programs transform lives. Thank you for the follow. If you're here, stick with us for the next 9 days. We're going to be doing this masterclass Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're taking Friday off because I'm traveling. And you have some time to finish the work. And then we start with Find Your Voice next week. And these are back to back. But Awaken is all about awakening your identity. Who are you? Because so often we identify who we are based on our past mistakes, on the relationships that we've had in our lives. For example, our parents, or our past relationships like our previous partners, husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, common law, whatever, bosses. We identify ourselves, we attach our identity to who we used to be. Sometimes it's a title. I'm a CEO, or I'm a pastor, or I'm a teacher, or I'm a mother. That's a big one. I'm a mother. And we attach our identity, all of who we are, to these titles. Why do we do that? Why do we attach ourselves to titles? Because they give us a sense of security. They give us a sense of certainty. There might be a bunch of stuff going on in my life that I'm not certain about, but I'm a mom. Yeah, but you're also so much more than that, right? And so when I'm working with women in this capacity, yes, motherhood is probably the most important role in your life, but it's not the only role. Because when we only identified as a mother, and we're in a marriage, then the person who loses out is the husband, right? Do you see what I'm saying? It's important that we don't identify as one thing, but that we identify as all of it. We often identify with our failures as well. This is a big one for women. Or past experiences. If you were abused as a child, you might identify as a survivor. Now let's talk about that for a minute. Do you want to identify as a survivor? Think about the energy that's in that. Does that feel empowering? Does it feel like you own it? Does it feel like something that you want to stand on? I'm a survivor. Or do you want to say, I am who I am? I'm a woman of God. I'm an empowered woman. I am Romy Marlo. I am Yvonne. I am Trini. I am Chris. I am Joy. And let me tell you something. I stand on the shoulders of every single thing that I have experienced. And I stand on the shoulders of every identity that I've ever been given. I stand on the shoulders of my stories. But you will not put me in a box. You will not say you are this or you are that. We define who we are. Sometimes we find ourselves saying, I'm too much. Or I'm a little bit loud, or I'm klutzy, or I'm really anxious, or I'm an introvert, or I'm an extrovert, or, we give ourselves these labels. And those labels have such a massive impact on the way that we operate. We don't realize it. But if you're an introvert, if you have labeled yourself an introvert, how does it affect your interaction with other people, for example? Do you use it as a reason not to go to parties? Do you use it as a reason not to get involved in things? Do you use it as a reason to not have close friendships? Do you use it as a reason to not do things in group? Do you do it as a reason to not speak up and use your voice? Well, think of how those two things tie together. If you identify as an introvert and you're somebody who doesn't interact with other people, which we know we are wired for, two is better than one, right? And you don't use your voice and share your story, and you don't give your opinion, and you tend to be in the background, what does that do to your self-worth? These are all connected. People don't see the power of making grand statements like that. So there are people like Brené Brown, who is a self-proclaimed introvert. But one thing that I can tell you about Brené Brown is that she grabs any microphone that she has access to. She puts herself in rooms. She uses her voice. She shares her opinion. See, being an introvert does not mean that you isolate. So if you are isolating yourself, don't get that confused with being an introvert. An introvert is somebody who tends to charge up in their quiet space. That's what an introvert is. An introvert is not somebody who disconnects from the world and stays there. Let's not get those things mixed up. So if you're somebody who isolates, then you're probably needing to identify who you are and stand on that. It's not that you just need quiet time to recharge. It's that you actually are afraid to use your voice because you don't know how you feel about things. You're afraid to use your voice because you're more concerned that somebody might judge you. See, that's not introversion. That's isolation. So in this masterclass, we're no longer hiding. And this is why this work matters. So I just want you to understand that if you are isolating, if you're pulling back, it's time for you to come forward. It doesn't mean you have to be the loudest person in the room, because loud is not power. Certainty of who you are is power. Knowing who you are. Being able to identify, not as one thing, but as all parts of you. Look at yourself as a puzzle. I'm a mom. I'm a friend. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm a pastor, or I'm a minister. I'm a business owner. I'm an employee. I'm an athlete. I love to bake. I'm an artist. That's who you are. You're not one thing, you're all things. See, identity precedes influence. Put a heart in the comments if you are really wanting, before you die, you want to step into your purpose. In other words, you're really excited about the idea of finally settling in to your place in this world. Put a heart in the comments. Whether it's a writer or a speaker or somebody who builds homes for those in recovery, if you're somebody who starts a business, if you're somebody who leads movements, if you're somebody who helps people who have issues with their money get clear about their money. I mean, it doesn't matter, but put a heart in the comments if you're really jazzed up about the idea that before you die, you will feel so certain that the impact that you were here to make, you made. Because, see, it's in our hierarchy of needs that we have purpose. And often when I'm speaking with people, women in particular, what will cause them the most anxiety is that they don't know why they're here. I walk through my life day to day, and I feel like I want to be doing something purposeful. I have all these gifts inside me. I know that I'm special. I know that I'm different. I know that I didn't go through all of these things just to go through all of these things, but I'm not certain of what I'm supposed to do with it. And it makes me crazy. And I walk through life just floating around, watching other people so certain of who they are. I don't feel like I have an identity. Put a heart in the comments if you really want to know who you are and embody the woman that you are meant to be in this lifetime before you die. Like, that's important to you. Put a heart in the comments. Because before God will use you as a voice piece for others, He establishes your identity and the value that you bring to the table. But we can't know our value. We can't stand in worthiness. We can't stand on the shoulders of who we used to be and understand that the woman that we are today is the one that was built by the one who went through all of that stuff. He won't use us as a voice piece until we were standing on solid ground. Now, that doesn't mean that our knees are knocking. But if there's a big job for you to do in this world, you need to own it. You need to embody it. You need to identify as her. If you want to lead a movement, you need to start saying, I'm a leader of movements. I'm a leader of people. I'm a fisher of men. If you want to own a business, then start acting like a business owner. Start saying, I'm a business owner. And I'm actively building that business. I haven't sold anything yet. Maybe. Or maybe you have. But I have committed and embodied the woman who I need to be in order for this thing to happen. You guys, that's how you get there. By embodying it. Right now, I'm talking about embodiment with a lot of the women in my world. Because embodiment is when we actually become the person who's going to carry what it is that we see ourselves doing. The biggest misalignment is when people are throwing stuff against the wall waiting for it to stick, and they're not actually carrying it. And then they wonder why no one's partaking. It's not them, it's you. Are you embodying a business owner? Are you embodying the thing that you say that you want to identify as? There's nothing that jazzes me up more than watching women really step in, and some of those women are here right now, really step in to the work that they're here to do. And it is challenging and it is daunting, but they are awakening to their identity. They become the woman who's going to carry the thing, because your identity precedes your influence. You have to identify her as her first. This is so important. If you see yourself as somebody who's building a movement for mamas, I'll use that one as an example, because we've got Shay here who's building a movement for mamas. Then what you need to do is be the leader. In other words, I am a mama and I am leading my own life and I'm leading my family and I'm stepping into the identity of a leader for other mamas so that they have a path to follow. Now, if Shay was to start a movement and a circle for women who are mamas, but she was stumbling forward all the time and she wasn't stepping into a leadership role and she wasn't showing up as a leader, would people join her circle? People are going to follow your lead because what you're doing is what they want to be doing. So your identity precedes your influence. So my question to you is, are you in this moment standing in that identity? Are you being, with a capital B, that person? Because if you're not, start now. That's why we're here. You were created with intention. Your personality, your silliness, your kindness, your warmth, your courage, your creativity, the way that you walk, the way that you share space with people, the things that you do for people, that's all part of who you are. That was all made with intention. God gave you those gifts and said, these are the gifts I'm giving you. These are the things that make you different. Now go use these gifts in your walk. You were made with intention. So are you giving that intention attention? Or are you dimming it down? I have a girlfriend who's really, really talented as an artist. And for a long time, she got so lost in her business of providing a space for other artists, actually, that her identity as an artist kind of fell to the wayside, and she was dimming down her own ability to create beautiful art. And I watched her slowly sink. And she and I were out for lunch last week, and she said, I've been painting again. And she said, sometimes I go for a walk and I take my cell phone with me and I take pictures of things, and then I come back and I paint them. And she said, I feel like me again. How many times do we abandon our gifts? We get caught up in taking care of other people. We get caught up in trying to maybe do what other people are doing because we like it, and so we try it, but it's not our thing. One of the things that I've been doing recently is playing with fashion and, creating jackets, and I come on the lives and I have fun with jean jackets and with pinstripe blazers and with scarves. These are all things. I love fashion and I love playing with fashion. And it is so liberating to just do it because I want to. Just do it my way. I come on these lives and I'll create a jean jacket and I'll put it on. And I know it seems so insignificant, And it seems like maybe even a distraction for some people, but for me, it's me playing in my sandbox. It's one of the things that I actually love to do. And I didn't ask for permission. I didn't ask anybody's opinion. I just started doing it. So what part of you have you dimmed down because you were worried about other people's opinions? If I worried about other people's opinions, I probably wouldn't have done it. But you know that people have bought those jackets because they love it. And that makes my heart so happy that something that I put together, something that I designed, something that I put my heart into, somebody over in the US of A is going to be walking around wearing proudly. I love that. So it's important that you step into your identity. You were created with intention. What parts of you do you need to pull forward? Put it in the comments. Yes, I've been drawing and painting again. I almost forgot how much I loved it and how peaceful it is and how much it brings joy to my heart and soul. I love that, Trini. What part of you have you ignored? Because you guys, this is part of the awakening. I know that this might seem a little bit odd, but we're gonna go a little sideways this week. We're going to talk about things that we maybe haven't talked about on here yet. What part of you, just what piece of your soul would you love to bring forward? For some people, it's a comedian. I have a girlfriend who's really, really funny. And she said, you know, I love comedy. She said, I would love to do stand-up comedy, but here's the thing. She said, I've always seen it as something that people didn't respect and something that people don't really pay for. And I said, what? And she said, I just love doing stand-up comedy. I said, why don't you just start with just doing it? Don't do it for them, do it for you. And she said, oh, I never thought of it that way. Where would I do it? And I said, one of those like little local comedy shows. She's really funny. I said, I would come and I would pay to come see you because laughter brings people so much joy. And she said, I guess it's just never been anything that anybody ever encouraged me to do. She said, people always used to say, you're never going to make a living doing that. I said, have you looked around? Do you see the comedians out there that make a living, a good living with comedy? And maybe it's just something that you do on the side. But why are you abandoning it? So this is my question. If you were created funny, do you think it's coincidental? Because not everybody, I'm not funny like she is. She's hilarious. You were created with intention. So we want to awaken those pieces of us this week. That's why I said you're going to leave a different person this week if you do the work. Your personality, your story, your gifts, everything that you have experienced to this moment is all part of your identity. Now, it doesn't mean that if you had a terrible childhood or something happened to you that you don't want to identify as, that that's your identity. It's not. But it makes up part of who you are. Coffee shop comedy, exactly. And then the third point is your voice has value because you have value. Listen, you are a gift from God. Your beautiful life is a gift to me, to the people in this community, to your children, to your partner, to your friends, to your parents, to your grandparents, whomever lives you have touched. Your life was a gift. You were born worthy. Worthiness isn't something that we earn. It's something that we are. Write that down. Worthiness isn't something that I earn. It's something that I am. You possess it. Just simply, how's this? Just simply by being here, you're worthy. Don't you just love that? You don't have to work for it. One of the few things in the world that we don't have to work for, worthiness. We were just born into it. You don't need to do more to be worthy. You just need to be more of who you are. So that's why this week when we're awakening, we're focusing on being more of who we are supposed to be and a whole lot less of who we're not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be catty. We're not supposed to be liars. We're not supposed to be cheaters. We're not supposed to be negative. We're not supposed to be isolated. We're not supposed to be alone. We're not supposed to take crap from other people. We're not supposed to be in unhealthy relationships. We're not supposed to be any of that. To awaken is to awaken your identity, to awaken your worthiness, to awaken what it is that you are meant to do in this lifetime. Because listen, we're running out of time, sissies. I used to think I was so vanilla. I never believed that I really had anything to offer. A true story. When I was a teenager, I just didn't think that I had anything to offer. I had friends who were really smart, who wanted to be politicians, or who were like multilingual, or they had traveled all over the place, or they had lots of money, or their dad was a doctor. And I often felt like I didn't fit in anywhere. And I thought I was a little bit vanilla. And I have this really great memory of my basketball coach in high school who would put me out on the basketball court when we were way ahead or way behind. But he never put me on the court for the vital parts of the game. And then at the sports banquet, my last year of high school, they were giving out awards. And this was a game-changing moment for me. And he said, but before I finish, because he was just about done, he said, there's one more award that I want to give out. And he said, this goes to the girl who is always the first on the court. She's always the last to leave. And she's always the loudest on the bench. She's always supporting her fellow players. She's always encouraging them. She's always high-fiving them. And even though she does it from the bench, she's the loudest. She's the champion of her teammates. And of course, I had no idea what was coming. And he said, now, I asked her that she never try out for a basketball team ever again because she's not a good basketball player. But that's not what her role was on this team. And then I started thinking, oh, I think I know who he's talking about. And he said, Romy Marlo gets the Spirit Award for being a champion of her teammates. She has the greatest spirit on the team. And I started crying because I wasn't expecting it. And I got up and I walked to the front and I accepted that award, and that changed my life. Because what I recognized was that maybe my job was not to be on the court, but to be helping others get out on the court. And so I look back on that and I think Uncommon Woman is exactly that. I spent a decade as a high school teacher. It was exactly that. And guess what? I was also a coach for the girls' basketball team, even though I didn't know anything about playing basketball. But I was a good coach. We weren't very good on the court, but our team was happy and the girls were energized. It was a small team. We weren't going to go anywhere anyway. There wasn't any talent, but we were a team. I tell you this story because there's evidence in your life. It's already been shown to you of who you are and what your role is. And we want to awaken that woman this week. We want to bring her forward. The champion, the artist, the creator, the ministress, the teacher. We want to bring her forward this week. So the invitation here is that you awaken the version of you that's been sleeping. And if you're somebody who's already walking your path, just like me, are there any parts of you that you want to pull forward? So for me, it was this like clothing stuff. I was like, I love this idea. I've seen other people do it. I love that idea of just going and buying jean jackets or taking jackets that I have or scarves. I ordered something like 200 scarves, all different shades of pink. And I just want to design them and just sell them online. Why? Because I want to. I don't need to have a big reason. I mean, it supports the ministry and it supports Crush. But the bigger thing is I love to do it because I could have somebody else make those things. But no, I want to do them. I want my hands to be on them. What are you holding back? We're going to awaken that part of you. So here's the declaration. You ready for it? How you guys doing? Does this get you thinking a little bit? Here's the declaration. I am not who the world says I am. I am who God says I am. Now the scripture for this whole lesson is, and I'm going to pull my Bible out because I want to read it to you. I love this. You guys, this is Psalms 139. If you have your Bible, get your Bible out. This is so beautiful. I love this psalm so much. Psalm 139. You ready for it? How you doing? This is fun. I love this. This is just different than what we've been doing. Let me know how you feel. And if you hate it, don't tell me. Don't tell me if you hate it. It's got me in my feelings. Good. I love that, Amy. Okay, here we go. Psalms 139. Everybody got their Bible? Look at my gorgeous Bible that I love so much. When you have a pretty Bible, you want to be in it more, right? Okay, here's Psalms 139. It's so encouraging. Listen to the words. O Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me. You know when I sit down or stand up. You know my thoughts even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do. You know what I'm going to say even before I say it, Lord. You go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand. I can never escape from your spirit. I can never get away from your presence. If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I go down to the grave, you are there. If I ride the wings of the morning, I love that. If I dwell by the farthest oceans, even there your hand will guide me, and your strength will support me. I could ask the darkness to hide me and the light around me to become night. But even in darkness, I cannot hide from you. To you, the night shines as bright as day. Darkness and light are the same to you. You made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it. You watched me as I was being formed in utter seclusion, as I was woven together in the dark of the womb. You saw me before I was born. You saw me before I was born. In other words, he knew who you were going to be long before you even showed up here. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. You guys, it's all been planned. How precious are your thoughts about me, O God? They cannot be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand, and when I wake up, you are still with me. O God, if only you would destroy the wicked. Get out of my life, you murderers. They blaspheme you. Your enemies misuse your name. We're not supposed to be hanging out with those people. O Lord, shouldn't I hate those who hate you? Shouldn't I despise those who oppose you? Yes, I hate them with total hatred, for your enemies are my enemies.